They got Willa. They got my daughter. I need to find her.
From acclaimed director Paul Thomas Anderson.
You can save that girl.
On September 26th, experience what is being called the best movie of the year.
This is the end of the line.
Not for you.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Tiana Taylor, Chase Infinity.
Let's go! Here I
One battle after another. Only in theaters September 26th. Experience it in IMAX. Rated R. Under 17 animated without parent.
You can't hide.
The Hilton sale is on. Now through September 29th, you can save up to 20% on stays this fall and beyond. Long weekends, last-minute getaways, holiday gatherings. There's a Hilton stay for all of them. More moments, more experiences, more destinations. Now 20% off for a limited time because it matters where you stay. Don't wait. Book by September 29th and save up to 20% at Hilton.com. Terms apply. Hilton for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
One that was like a pro fight gym, and I was just like, I'm not good enough to even keep up with the warm up here. This is not ready. I'm not ready for this yet.
Welcome to another episode of Anxious Black Belt, a podcast that focuses on mental health, karate, and everything in between. Today we are outside of the karate with a Harry Flexman or Fight Dad. Is that correct? We are aware of each other's presence online, but never had the pleasure to talk to. I think we both done a course with Matt State about a short form content. You took and implemented what Matt was saying. I didn't at that time. You got really famous. I didn't. And I can only blame myself for it, but I'm actually now processed everything and it started to implementing it, and I see the results. That's a very long way asking, how are you?
It's great to add context. I think. Thank you very much for having me on. It's a real pleasure and an honor to be here. Yes, I'm well, thank you. I'm well. Yeah, I did dive into the short form content production. But it was very much like a high volume, high effort, and then trying to like reply to all comments and so on. And I've actually kind of slowed down in my content production because I was feeling like I was starting to get like burnt out effectively, because it was feeling more like a job than fun. Like, it was a lot of fun to start with, to make content like that, and a real challenge to get across a concept or an idea within 10 seconds, 15 seconds in those kind of earlier days of, TikToks and Reels and YouTube Shorts, where 15 seconds was the goal of just like get a single idea into this one super short, and that would take 5 or 6 takes. To be able to record that, and yeah, I bashed out a lot of content. I think I've probably done about 1,000 videos in total, and it's very nice to take a break, but I still see I get website hits and new leads and people showing up to my physical school off the basis of things that I made 3, 4, 5 years ago, which is quite pleasing, because I don't know about you, but if you're scrolling your feed of short form content, and then you see something, you think, oh, I like that, but then it goes, my expectation is I'll never see that again. So then as a creator, I feel like if I make something that's short form, it only exists for 1 or 2 days after I've posted it, and then it just evaporates. But it seems like some of the older material is now being picked up and recirculated again. So it's pleasing that it has more longevity. That was a really long way of answering Yeah, I'm well, thank you, mate. How are you?
um, I'm very well, thank you. And I've got exactly the same what you said, although I couldn't find myself creating content of 15 seconds long. It took me good part of 4 years to figure out how to do it. And then actually the breakthrough came in when I gave up on it and just thought I just record whatever we're doing on the class, chop it up and throw it. And now actually it's really on a roll. I think the Facebook algorithm picked me up, and I've got really boost in views.
Mm.
I think I'm starting to see now people actually turning to the club from social media, which is nice. A few courses being sold, but it's at early stages for me playing with the courses. But you've done a lot of courses, so it was worth for you getting deeper into that short content. Did that kind of turn into monetization or more as advertising?
Um, it was more like general like brand advertising, so brand awareness, which is a much broader form of advertising. It's not direct advertising or direct
Hmm.
marketing, where um, like a Facebook ad where you post the ad and there's a link, and then you can measure how many people click the link, and then do you get email signups from there, and then do you get customers. That's very measurable in a specific chain. But I found with short form content, it was much more of like a broader effect. So like any one individual piece of content, um, it's hard to measure that whether that was helpful or whether it did next to nothing. And because I'm like, I don't know about you, but I have the tendency of being an overthinker and an
Hmm.
aim towards perfectionist, but not in a way that's super helpful. It's more in a way that just makes me feel bad about stuff that I do,
Yeah.
and then worse about stuff that I don't do. Um, so I always assume that like my latest content is the worst thing I've ever made, and I just try harder next time and try not to feel
Hmm.
like it was a letdown. But then later when I go and look back, I'm like, oh, um, you know, wow, that got like 100,000 views, or
Hmm.
that's had 100 comments that are thoughtful and insightful instead of
Hmm.
just like insults.
Yeah.
But what I really really like about your content is because it comes from your recording what you do in class, then
Hmm.
it's very natural feeling, and it's not like scripted or rehearsed or um, artificial. Is
Hmm.
I feel like I get a bit um, a bit tired of that kind of perfectly overproduced, like yeah, really nicely lit and shot, and like everything is to perfection. And then suddenly, when you produce something which is not to perfection, that's a disappointment for the audience. But
Hmm.
if they're like candid shots, if they're just you put the camera up, you have the microphone on, and you're just training or you're just teaching, um, as if the camera isn't there, then that's a lot more naturalistic, and
Hmm.
people get to know your true personality. So if they ever meet you in person or have a talk on a longer form, uh, you know, a longer form format such as this, then nobody's surprised. There are some people whose content you see and they're like, wow, they come across as a really kind person, a very thoughtful and genuine, and
Hmm.
really considerate of other people, and logical and considerate and stuff like that. And then you meet them in real life and you're like, no, man, they're not like that at all. Not like that at all.
Yeah. I was thinking about it, and there's a couple of things that kind of put it together that I'm recording as I am. I'm a technological illiterate, so I cannot do all the fancy stuff. I wish I could do, camera. I am too uh, tight to buy a good camera because I see the good camera for £1,000. Like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm gonna use the phone. Uh, and see, I'm really bad with the script and reading the script. I can't remember. So I felt like, wow, you got me. Plus, speaking with my wife and a few friends, it was like, exactly what you said, right? You don't want to create that persona that's gonna go on a seminar and
Mm.
somebody completely else gonna come out. Plus, I think now is the perfect timing to be authentic and make mistakes because everybody's doing perfect. And like you, thank you for the feedback. I had a few people saying that, oh, it's nice to see that you're making mistakes and you're not hiding it.
Mhm.
It's just, it is what it is, right? I make so many mistakes on the podcast that it's just like part of the show.
Yeah, I think it, like you say, like a lot of the content is very, very much perfect, very much polished and rehearsed. And if you go down that route, like very first few videos that I did on YouTube for my club, I was trying to make them like perfect and polished and come across as a person who wasn't me. And that very quickly becomes extremely tiring and very hard work because you're constantly effectively acting,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, it's not you. And then it's a disappointment when somebody shows up expecting person A and they get the real you, and it's different. And so why bother? It's harder work and it's false. So just just be real and be confident enough to show your mistakes and show your errors and show your faults and flaws and personality defects. Allow them to be seen, because as soon as they're seen, then the fear of being seen is evaporated because it's already done. People already know. So it doesn't matter anymore. There was
Yeah.
one of the original Stoics. It was, can't remember if it was before or after Marcus Aurelius. I want to say Cato, maybe Cato the Younger, who he would purposefully like harden his own mind and emotions against the frivolous thoughts of other people by dressing really unfashionably and walking around in public, because he thought if he could wear the least fashionable clothes, and then so that people would openly mock him in the streets, and he could just harden himself against that, then it would free his mind from the fear of that type of mocking. And so he could think about things that were far more important and save his mental energy for something that is far more important, just like the input for the Senate or the running of the Roman Empire, or whatever else he was thinking about. There's a lot more deep about whether he was keeping up with the latest fashionable clothing or hanging out in the right places. So he was like, the sooner that I don't care about these things that I have logically decided don't matter, but emotionally feel do matter, as soon as I can scrape that emotion away from myself, the better I'll be a more pure stoic human being. I don't know if I want to go that extreme, but that is a similar scale, a similar dimension of authenticity,
Yeah.
accepting our faults.
Well, I think that is like with everything, right? You get accustomed to it. The more things you do, the more natural they came and part of you they became. So if you kind of harden yourself in that way, then it becomes part of you and it's much easier. And I like to say to people, this is my poor jokes coming out now, that I cannot polish my content anymore. I'm as polished as you get. So I can't get any more polished.
Excellent.
Did you get into martial arts? My understanding is that you are a Kali or some sort of a sticks or eskrima practitioner. How did you get and end up in that system?
I started in Capoeira, the Brazilian kind of musical dancing style of martial art. And that was probably when I was about 20. Yeah, I think I've been in martial arts 22 years now. That was when I was about 20, and I did it by accident. I was supposed to go to rock climbing with my friend, and the rock climbing place was closed. And it's like, let's just go to the pub or whatever. And he's like, no, look, Capoeira's on. It's like, what? Come along, you'll have a laugh. And I did. And that was good fun. The style of Capoeira was Not the ultra acrobatic kind of backflip version. It was very close and very reactive between two people. So it was very much like a synchronized kind of slow motion dance where you would be like kicking over each other and trying to sweep the foot of the other person. And if your foot was being swept, you had to catch yourself in a particular way. It was quite graceful. Not that I was graceful doing it, but it was graceful to watch the other people who were better than me. And that was cool. And then I went to Wacken Open Air Metal Festival in North Germany and fell and broke my wrist with this angle here. So I could no longer put my hands on the floor for cartwheels or whatever, but I could do like knuckle push-ups. I was like, if I can do knuckle push-ups, I could probably punch something. Let's go and find a boxing gym. And I found this place I thought was a boxing gym. And it turned out when I showed up, they were like, okay, kicks. And I was like, what? Turns out it was a Thai boxing gym. So then I got into Muay Thai, which was also pretty sweet. I realized that I really enjoyed hitting stuff. Pads, people, even getting hit myself was like uplifting in a way, as long as it's not too hard. It's fine. Then what happened after that? I moved to Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast, found a new Thai boxing gym where the people were tough as nails, but also kind of kind and welcoming. Like I went around, I tried about 3 different gyms when I moved there, and I found one that was like a pro fight gym, and I was just like, I'm not good enough to even keep up with warm up here. This is not ready. I'm not ready for this yet. And then I found another where the people were skilled, but the attitude was very much like it was like an accepted bullying level of attitude within that kind of gym where like everyone was mean to each other and everyone would just beat each other up all day, but they enjoyed it and I didn't enjoy it. I was like, that's cool for you, but that's not my vibe. And then I found this other gym, Team Phoenix, with Matthew Teasdale, who's one of my main teachers. And that was a whole lot more, an atmosphere that was closer to what I was looking for. So it was friendly, it was warm, it was welcoming, but it was also like, yeah, we could kick your ass if we want to, but we choose not to, unless we escalate together. I trained Muay Thai there for a while, and the coach was just like, hey, you should come and try the Kali class, the Filipino martial arts class over there. And I was like, what, the tippy tappy flippy flappy sticky thing that looks a bit like Morris dancing? And he was like, yeah, it's just like that. There's maybe a bit more, you'll have fun. And I tried it, and I found that it combined my love of like the flow and reactive nature from Capoeira, and also hitting things and people really hard from Muay Thai. And it's like, this is it. This is the best one. This is fantastic. And it has like I suppose much like karate, it has the possibility of being applied very, very broadly. And you could focus towards a artistic application or an artistic expression of movements with these objects. You could focus towards a kind of I suppose it's like a simulation of village tribal jungle warfare, if you wanted to. It's a bit LARPing, but that's okay, it's fine. Pretend it's a nice leisure activity. You could focus it more towards self-defense, so you could take the principles of the most simple versions of their techniques and so on and train them in a scenario style with the verbal or pre-contact cues and ideas where the goal is escape rather than the goal is to win. Like, so because your self-defense has to be set up differently to normal martial arts training. Or you could focus it towards a combat sport style of application. And like with all combat sports, we would make some mitigation in the equipment that you have. That means you can go to the correct target at the correct distance at a reasonable force level, but
Mhm.
still try and keep your risk of injury low enough. Because, you know, some of the comments that I get on my videos, especially of like, we do a lot of sparring with padded sticks, padded knives, like head guards, ice hockey gloves, and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, the comments are like, oh, it's not real. It's not real enough. Why don't you use rattan, like cane sticks that are really heavy and no gloves and like no head guard? You know, it's not real enough. And I
Mm.
just think, yeah, both me and all my students, we have day jobs, we have other things that we need to do, we have other obligations in our lives, and we all need to be not injured. And also, even if we didn't, I think a lot of people enjoy not having long-term pain. And like if you want to do higher contact, higher risk, and collect more injuries in your body, then fine.
Mm.
But I don't. So go away.
Make gifting easy with Benson and Clegg. Handcrafted cufflinks, luxury accessories, and a proper British style. Trusted since the 1930s by royalty. Get 15% off with code KARATE15, exclusively for Anxious Black Belt podcast listeners. Shop now at bensonandclegg.com. It's
Um,
funny because those people always talk a lot, but you tell them, okay, then you do it, you show me.
mhm.
Oh no, there's no response, or I don't do that. Or, I'm not a professional. Well, why want you me to do that?
Yeah, yeah. That's the one. When I get comments like that, either completely ignore them or reply with something sarcastic. But then sometimes that escalates, and you end up with like, see, the internet's filled with weirdos, and
Mm.
I'm sure I'm not completely scrubbed from the net. So you probably eventually track me down if you
Mm.
really were really motivated to do that. So my aim is probably not to wind people up and motivate anybody to come around, because that would be a problem. Um, so yeah, so ignore them, or a gentle wind up, or um, the response that shuts them down quite quickly is, "Oh, thanks very much. Can you show me a video of you showing me
Yeah,
how it should be done?"
yeah,
That's
that
great.
was what was the treat.
That's great, especially if they send me a link to like some other famous martial artist, or like a UFC fight where it's like George St. Pierre does this flying spearing knee, and he's like, "Oh,
Mm.
you should do it like that." And I'm like, are you George St. Pierre?
Yeah,
No, obviously not. I'm just, Dave from Bristol. I'm like, well, okay, cool. I'm also not George St. Pierre. Thank you. Um, but yeah, so long story for getting in how I got into Kali, but that was it. And then with Matt Teasdale, he's he's such a multi-dimensional thinker, and also he's an amazing practitioner and a really thoughtful coach as well.
Mhm.
Like I'd really consider him both a teacher and a coach,
Mhm.
because that I've been wondering about this terminology thing.
Well,
This.
I'm gonna stop you there because I'm coming from Poland and I'm finding that UK terminology is different to Polish one. So,
Mhm.
for example, difference between instructor and coach. Here, that instructor is more valued than a coach, which in Poland, to be a coach, you need to have a 5 years or sports university.
Mm.
So I value more coach, but when I talk with people with karate, it's other way around. And people say to me, "Why are you using a description of yourself as a coach, not as an instructor?" I say, "Well, I feel more like a coach. I've done some qualification in that direction, so I like coach more. In my head, it sounds more important."
Mm.
So do carry on with your description of the teacher and the coach because I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, I never heard it that instructor is valued more highly than the title of like coach. Um, I heard it more commonly that they're all like the same and they're all kind of interchangeable. Um, and perhaps it's more about how I apply the meaning in my head.
Mhm.
So tomorrow I'm going to teach a session at the Southwest Martial Arts and Wellbeing Show.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to have any of my regular students in there. They're going to be totally brand new people who I don't know. And so to start with, most of my role will be as an instructor. Is I have a set of instructions that we're going to follow to get to a defined outcome. And I'm going to tell you those instructions, and then I'm going to watch how well you follow them. And it's like putting together flat pack furniture. You know, there's like steps 1 to 7, and it's like, get these ingredients, put them together in this order. That's instructions. That's in my mind, that's how I would judge the role of an instructor. It's like you have a lesson plan, and you say, right, 2 minutes, punch the bag. Okay, now 1 minute, stretch here, and now another minute, do push-ups, and then 1 minute break, sip some water, and then 2 minutes partner drill here. And it's going through the instructions, and that's fine. Everyone needs to go through that stage when you're learning how to teach and coach people. See, I'm already leading in which way I value things. And equally, if I'm teaching a seminar to people I don't know yet, I'll probably go through those stages as I get to know the people in the group, even if it's only for an hour or an hour and a half session. Because I don't know what words they need to hear to understand the meaning yet. That would be more like a teacher. The teacher is, conveying meaning and understanding. And then also, I don't know their individual circumstances and their own kind of their own individual roadblocks. And so I don't know the perfect thing to coach them as an individual to get past those roadblocks. So I can quite happily be a coach for all of my in-person students, because I know most of them really well. And, I know that this person has a fear of punching someone else right in the face because they have a fear of hurting someone else and feeling bad about it in the future. So I also know that they respond much better to gentle encouragement and, setting an example and allowing them to do it on me, someone they trust, before they do it on another of their peers in the student group. Whereas someone else might have a roadblock elsewhere, but he responds better to gentle mocking and low level kind of humiliation within a group of his peers. Because I've tried the gentle encouragement thing, and I've tried the physically show him and set the example and stuff, and I tried gently take the piss, and then he suddenly did it. I was like, okay, cool, there we go. That's a little more information locked in that kind of coaching part of the brain. So yeah, personally, I rate instructor as being quite basic and linear. Teacher as being more about conveying meaning and understanding, perhaps on a group level, but without necessarily the individual, the individual psychological understanding. It could be about the individual learning method or the learning mode that suits an individual. So, it's called VARC, isn't it? It's tactile, verbal, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and written. And which combination of things works for that individual. That could be within the teacher thing, but then the coach is like, as an individual, a person, how you're feeling today. Do I need to put my arm around you, give you a hug, and tell you everything's going to be okay, or do I need to gently punch you in the stomach until you correct your posture and stand up properly? So that's how I would judge instructor, teacher, coach, I think. How would you
pretty much the same. So for me, instructor gives the instructions, a coach leads your progression when you master the instructions. So kind of build it on top, right? It comes from wrestling in Poland. So I done coach qualification with my wrestling coach, and so that's how I've been kind of taught, right? You're doing that wider program to build up the Olympic wrestlers instead of the people who going through the instructions in the gym, do this, do that. They know their own abilities, they know their technical levels, but then they need to progress with kind of broader look at things.
Yes, I think I experienced something similar in my wrestling training too. my wrestling coach is called Saeed Esmaili, and he's
Hmm.
based in Bristol now. He runs an organization called Wrestle for Humanity. So he
Oh,
has,
cool.
yeah, it's brilliant. He he does a lot of charitable work with like kind of some of the less able people who want to wrestle, or
Mm.
people who are like amputees, or they've had surgery that can limit their motions and feel like they shouldn't be able to do it.
Mhm.
He helps them a lot. That's through his kind of charitable organization, and he also coaches like wrestling for MMA for several of the MMA gyms around the Bristol area, and he's absolutely phenomenal. Um, his dad, I can't remember his dad's first name, but he was like Iranian wrestling, freestyle wrestling champ for 8 years in a row or something
Mm.
like that. Absolute beast. But Saeed always wanted to be called Coach Saeed, and um, he would, yeah, he would teach us the fundamentals. He would teach us technical details. He would help our understanding. He would also help us connect together. Um, like secondary wrestling, tertiary wrestling, what's the likely counters if there's a counter
Mhm.
here. So he would build this like tree branch, as it should be, right?
Yeah.
Because if you just have little pockets of information in your brain that don't fit together, then there's no broader picture. But if it's like, here's my progress of how you build a mind map around this type of engagement. And he would also be really perceptive about like what we as individuals would need
Mm.
on any one particular section. Yeah, would we need pushing further? Would we need 5 minutes of just like, laying on the floor with your feet up against the wall, just
Mm.
with your eyes closed, breathing quietly, because he's made us do 300 Hindu squats and now we're all done for. And so we could do 3 more rounds if we have this little break. And he was really fantastic at that, navigating the coaching sphere of just squeezing like the very best out of you without breaking anybody. And I thought
Mm.
that's fantastic. So I tried to take something from Coach Esmaili. So thank you, Saeed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing that he does that work. I kind of work in a similar arrangement. So I work with people with mental health issues and physical disabilities as well. And in January, I signed myself up for a Disability UK coaching 3 levels, to be a kind of professionally trained to adapt stuff to different people's abilities and situations. But
Awesome.
thanks to a wrestling, I completely changed my viewpoint on karate. I've been blessed that our dojo was closed down, and one of the guys in my class in higher education was wrestler. I said, "Oh, why don't you come to my coach and talk to him, and maybe you can train with us? We hire you a hall." I met Coach Marek, who can talk for Poland. The guy doesn't shut up. Love him to bits. But he was used to stay. We've been after them, and he used to sit with us and look at us doing katas and stuff. He said, "What you doing there?" "Oh, what do you mean? We're blocking the punches, right?" I said, "Oh, how about you grab the arm and do arm drag?"
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
like, so he completely changed, being with him for nearly 10 years, and learning how he teaches, how he coaches, then becoming a supporting coach in that gladiator club. Completely changed my viewpoint of a methodology in karate. We changed our methodology completely towards a wrestling style one, and just understanding of the kata and movements is just another level. So I, I love wrestling to bits.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. And it was very similar. It's like probably had trained Kali for about 3-4 years before I started wrestling. So it was
Hmm.
Muay Thai first, and I continued training Muay Thai through Kali. So I had like stand-up striking and okay clinch. Um, but Muay Thai clinch is very upright. And then the Kali that I was learning was quite technical. And we did have weapon striking sparring, which was cool. But then, yeah, learning wrestling, and about it's that feeling of, base, right? So how do you stop yourself from being easily taken down by someone else who just has like a microscopic amount of knowledge of takedowns? Is if you don't know anything, then you could be so easy to be taken down, even by mistake. But as soon as you've wrestled for a decent number of hours against somebody who's really trying to take you down, and you just kind of naturally find out how you can, move your feet and load your legs and your hips and everything to understand, cool. I'm much harder to take down now. That's excellent. And even if that's the only benefit anybody gets from wrestling, then that's really cool. But as you get deeper into it, I've completely integrated my own Kali syllabus with with wrestling and Muay Thai. Surprise, surprise! The things I really love doing. So it's within there, and for it's not necessarily a foundation, because in the order of learning that I get my students to do, we start at long range, because a lot of students come to me from either no martial arts experience or a stand-up striking art experience. So their understanding of range and where like the safe zone is, just outside of a push kick or just outside of a spin back kick or something, is totally within the power range of a stick and totally within the lunging range of a knife. So I have to re-educate their distance management. And then once we've learned long range, then we move on to close range. So this is very much clinch, but it's like there's empty-handed clinch and weapon clinch. So it's like an extra distraction on, we're clinching, someone's trying to push or pull me or drag me in a circle, but I also have this object in my hand that is a force multiplier. So how can I use this? But they also have an object in their hand which is a force multiplier. How can I shut that one down? And it adds so much more to the wrestling equation and the clinching equation. Ends up being quite like Greco clinch, because you end up body and arm control rather than necessarily Thai clinch on the neck, or pure freestyle where there's a lot of leg shots. So it kind of mutates towards the Greco style for practitioners who pair up with someone of a similar height, and that's it. So it is like a central part of my overall syllabus, but it's not something we start with. But yeah, and from watching some of your videos, I'm like, the first ones I saw, I think they looked more like traditional kata videos, and then you turn it into striking, and then it was like striking sparring. I was like, cool, yes, a karate coach who doesn't just walk around at the front of the room making the students do all the stuff. Joins in, gets stuck in, does pretty well. Cool, that's pretty tasty. All right, let's find some more. And then there was something else where you done a very nice flowed into a takedown off of a reaction from what your sparring partner had done, and it just looked so fluid and natural. I was like, yeah, there's a lot more. It's a lot more training in there than what I might expect from a karate practitioner. But of course, karate is a massive wide umbrella that covers a lot of a lot of different stuff. So it's very cool to hear that wrestling is central to that core as well, because it's one of my favorite too.
Thank you. Still not used to have it being praised. My low self-esteem is now screaming like, no, he's lying. But thank you. Thank you. I think it's changing. More we're digging into karate, the more it looks like it is a grappling system with addition of strikes. It's a suggestion that all Okinawans knew wrestling from school. That's why karate didn't bother to include that in curriculum, because everybody knew it.
Yeah.
So why would you bother to teach something that people know from the beginner school? But I don't like. I have nothing against, everybody's got their own approach to the martial arts and stuff like that. But I don't like to sit on the sidelines. I want to get there and spar, and we spar on every session for half an hour, which sometimes a bit too much for people. I've got actually black eye from one of my students got me, I think that's the only way to keep yourself fit and agile, right? Um,
Yeah,
y-
absolutely. Because it doesn't not sparring with your students all the time doesn't necessarily make you either a bad coach or a hypocrite, because there are plenty of coaches who are phenomenal at bringing up fighters, bringing up practitioners who aren't that great practitioners themselves, and that's
Mhm.
cool. But I really enjoy doing it, so
Mm.
I want to carry on for as long as I can. And yeah, I'm currently limping from a clash of knees, and yeah, I kicked someone and I meant to kick them with my shin. So I had the power
Mm.
loaded up for a shin kick, but they just swayed back and I connected with my foot. So I've slightly hyperextended my ankle. So today
Mm.
has been like a cold bath, ice packs, just trying to rest, plenty of sleep, just recover my limbs now.
Yeah, I didn't want to sound like I'm not happy with people who don't do that. Everybody got their own coaching methodology. I
Mm.
just, like you said, I'm doing this just for me. I like to, if I'm not doing it, I feel like I'm missing something. And it's a form of meditation, right? If somebody tries to punch you in the face, you can't think about anything else.
Yeah,
So
man.
you've got the break of all the other problems. Plus, I started BJJ year ago again, and I'm enjoying being tormented and tapped out all the time, and just that gives me the new stimuli to improve my stuff. So when I'm sparring with the guys, I can try the new stuff on a realistic opponent who don't want to hurt me, but doesn't want to allow me to hurt them, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah, it does. It's that there's a potential like trap if you're training something specific in a class and then you're going to spar with that thing, or
Mm,
spar within your normal framework, but with a focus on the new thing, whatever the thing is. Um, like, let's say, I don't know, let's say it's push kicks and then a catch counter,
mhm,
just for example. And you're into the sparring rounds at the end. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm going to push kick everyone. No one is going to catch counter me. I'm going to catch counter every push kick. It's going to be fantastic. But because that's been the topic of the class, everyone is thinking about it. So
mm,
not only are they going to try and do it to you, but they're also going to be hyper aware of what it looks like being done to them. And so that sparring round is a sparring session is a much better time to practice something else.
mm,
So whatever that other thing is you want to try, whether it's I don't know, trying to sweep the supporting leg while they're kicking you.
mm.
That might be a different something from a couple of weeks ago, or something that's coming up on the lesson plan, right? Because we know
Yeah,
what's next week. um, but yeah,
yeah.
trying out your new and improved BJJ skills and knowledge on someone, like you say, is resisting, doesn't want it to happen, isn't necessarily aware of exactly what's going on. It's
Mm,
like it's a good testing ground, isn't it? Without being against your black belt BJJ coach, who
yeah,
is
yeah.
so kindly letting me work every now and then just every few minutes shows me who's the boss, and I'm like, okay, fine. I thought I was getting better, but oh no.
Yeah, yeah. So I love what you said about the not doing what you've been told. Although I encourage my student to try what we just tried, but we've got the rule in our dojo that actually picked it up something from Ken from Kenfu TV. I'm not
Mhm.
sure if you're aware of him. He's doing a check-in stuff. So I created a martial arts and karate journal with a mental health tracker. So we've got like a check-in. Everybody comes in with their notebooks, fill them up. What's the plan for today? How they feel? And what I ask them to do is before we start the session, to make a plan for themselves what they're gonna be working on in a sparring. It might be a jab for them. It might be a not being able to take me down. It might be I'm gonna try to take down people. So I tried them to have like a add-on on whatever we're working on in a class, to have their own plan, what they want to work on. Just kind of gives them some sort of responsibility for their own training. It's not relying on me 100%, but they need to use their brain to design something themselves.
Yeah, like agency is huge, isn't it? Because and also, like, I don't want to be their dad, you know. I have
Well,
my own
you're a fight dad. You have to be everybody's dad now.
No, more like grown-up teenagers, you know. It's kind of occasionally try and provide a bit of guidance, but you know, like, here's how you do your own thing. But yeah, exactly, that agency over their own training is going to massively increase engagement, because it's an easy trap to fall into, and it's almost like an instructor trap, isn't it? Of everybody show up and do exactly what I say, and you will get better, and that becomes my responsibility, both from my perspective and also from the student's perspective. And if they show up and they're like, I can show up to class and I don't have to think about a thing, I have no responsibility here, someone else will care for everything. And in a way, that can be true, but if I do try and encourage them to take that responsibility of guiding their own improvement, and making their own plan for what they want to sneaky try out in their next sparring session. That journal idea is really cool. So tell me a bit more about it, please. What's in the journal?
So we've got the 365 pages for whole £10, I think, or £12. So you've got the. Do I have it here somewhere? No, it's upstairs or in a car. So you've got the short, long, and mid range goals. You fill in up, and then you've got a page for each training with a plan, what you're going to work on, what you exactly been doing, what went well, what went wrong, what went well, and a mood gauge that you can tag on every session how you felt after or before. What we're trying to do is to steer people towards a finishing on a positive note, so that always what went well is the last question, so you kind of give yourself a pat on the back that you've done something well. And then through that you can monitor, with that gauge you just flip the pages and you see how it goes, and then you've got how it's impacting your mental health in that way. Plus you've got like stories. So one story which I love is from my Kempo friends from Jukada Kempo, the story of the stubborn koi. Do you know the story about stubborn koi?
No, tell me.
So there was a school of kois in Japan swimming up the river, and they all went under the waterfall, and they all tried to jump and fail, except one who kept trying, and he managed to jump over after a long time of training, and been awarded to be transformed into a dragon for his stubbornness or consequence, or stuff like that. So I like that story, so we use that story as well. You're training for a long time, you are that koi carp for a long time, and then slowly you're transforming into a dragon, then you can fight, you can take care of yourself, and you are able to use those skills, not the martial skills, but the following up the program, overcoming the barriers. You can apply that in life to any activity you're doing, right? And I can see that with, I'm working with mental health charities for 10 years now, and I have a feedback from the people who said, listen, now I'm going to work, I overcome my fear of being at work, slowly had this problem, that problem, but now I can do it, and thanks for karate. Or to be honest, it's any training, right? If you've got some obstacle to overcome and you create a habit of that, then it spills out to the whole life. I believe so.
Yeah, 100%. And it comes back to almost like a fixed, definable problem that that the student has the tools to either decide to overcome it or not. And they could see a direct relationship between their efforts and input and the output that they gain. Whereas if it's something in a much more dynamic setting, like problems at work, or if you're trying to get promoted or something like that, there's not only what the student is trying to do, but there's also all of the other circumstances around what all the other people in the organization are trying to do. Maybe you were good enough to get promoted, but someone else was like 10% better, and you worked as hard as you could to get as good as you got, but because that other person, they were just better, so they got the promotion. And that feels like you worked really hard, but it was a loss and it was pointless, and that can very easily be off-putting, can really kind of grind you down. So what I really love about, like you say, any kind of training, so it's marathon training, lifting weights, martial arts, learning a skill, whatever skill you're learning, ballroom dancing, I don't know, it's a fixed, definable outcome and goal. And if you have a good teacher, a good coach, they'll have a process to follow the process. It gets tweaked and individualized to you, and with enough repetition, that's time and effort put in by the student, then you'll get there. And you're right, it's a fantastic, it's not just like a lesson to learn, but it's a fantastic experience to viscerally feel yourself. There was one thing I was saying to a group of my students recently, where a couple of them were saying, I don't feel like I'm progressing. And I said, well, how are you measuring that? And they were like, well, I just don't seem to be, landing any more shots on this other student or something, where they're similar grade, similar level, similar build, similar age. I don't feel like I'm landing many more shots on this person. I still can't take them down and stuff. And I said, well, have you considered that they might be getting better too? Maybe.
Yeah.
And if we're all improving at the same rate, it's going to feel like we're all the same.
Yeah.
And so don't necessarily measure your progress against someone else, even though that's kind of what we do every session in a way. Plus there's the layer of like, you might be having a good day, they might be having a bad day, or vice versa, or you both having an average day. That varies session to session, which is why I love this journal. I want to come back to that. I like to, judge it more on when a new person comes in and you can see that they've got like a lower level of martial arts experience so far. And if you help them, if you partner with them, when you train them and you help them out, see how much easier like the knowledge comes from you to them, and see how much more gracefully you move compared to them, because they're like the new. It sounds bad. I'm never going to be disparaging for anybody who starts anything new. It's admirable. It's the hardest thing, because you feel like you're going to be bad, but they're the baseline. And if you have a student that's been progressing for 5 years and they feel like they're not, because someone else has also been progressing for 5 years, if you can get them to compare themselves kindly to a new person, and they go, okay, now I really feel the difference. And this is a way where I can feel good about myself and also still share more knowledge and help this new person, because I want them to get to where I am now and above. And that like parallel progress is quite a killer.
Yeah, it is. I think we all experience that at some point, right? Especially one group. That's why in our dojo we do a lot of open sessions. So we invite other clubs without ego and without malice and anything like that. But then if you grab somebody from other club, then you can kind of feel that it's somebody different. How I behave with the other person, what I can do, and usually people seeing their own progression. But like you said, I feel that in the BJJ as well. I'm the white belt, and I seem to be staying on that level of white belt, but because everybody's going the same time, plus I can only do once a week, other people do 4 times a week, so I'm it feels like I'm going backwards. But I know I'm going at the rate of my own progress up, just other people doing better. So that's the other point with martial arts, which I love about, is that control failure. You know you're gonna fail, and you're learning that you not fail, you're just learning, but there will be a setbacks, and not everything gonna work. And again, that transpires to the work life outside. Sometimes you're just gonna lose. Yeah, you go to competition, you might be putting 200% of effort. You're the best in your dojo, you're the best in the neighborhood, and then comes a little Johnny from the different club, and with one punch puts you down, and it's like, well, change your plan, come back next year, be better.
Yeah, absolutely. I really kind of felt that myself as well, and it comes back to what we were chatting about earlier. But in 2020 to about 2023, I had long COVID, and it was not nearly as bad for me as I've seen other people really suffering from. But what it meant was I had it's called PEMS, post-exertional malaise syndrome, and it was effectively like if I did anything where my heart rate increased, even to like a moderate heart rate in normal terms, then about 2 days later, I would get this really weird, like every joint and muscle was incredibly aching, like I'd done a strongman competition in the weight class that was not right for me. And I don't know if you've ever experienced brain fog, but it's very strange. It's like you lose the ability to think of the right word, and your short-term memory becomes really limited, and it's very hard to like concentrate on doing anything. It's a brain fog thing. And I get that about 2 days after any type of exertion that took me above moderate heart rate. And so I had to have a couple of years of really limited training in my gym. So I would see all my students getting better and me getting worse. And also then, like, every time I felt a bit better, I'd be like, okay, cool, I'm going to join in. I'm going to do 3 rounds of sparring out of the 10 that everyone else is doing. And cool. And then 2 days later, I'd just be like completely floored. And it became like I wouldn't necessarily hate myself, but I'd feel really stupid for doing the same mistake over again. Be like, well, last month you felt better, then you trained, and 2 days later you felt terrible. And now this time you said to yourself, oh, I am better this time. But then you trained and then you felt terrible. And through that, it was like this spiraling thought of, it's always going to be like this. I'm never going to get better. Never going to be able to train again. I'm only ever going to be able to get less fit. Because I couldn't even go for a walk up a steep incline for any length of time. Or I love like loaded carries. So taking a weighted vest on a long walk, excellent, very nice. And it just felt like I was in major decline. I was 38, 39 at the time. It's like, this feels a bit soon, to be honest. Feels a bit soon. And it turns out what it showed me is I defined like a big part of my personality, who I am, through physicality and the ability to, lift a certain amount of weight, punch and kick this certain amount of rounds, wrestle these size of people successfully. And when that all went away, I was like, uh-oh, what's left? It doesn't feel like I'm whole anymore. And thankfully the symptoms have gradually improved. So I'm just about back to okay now. So I haven't had to address that thought in my mind yet. So I'm, just stop that down in the little box in the corner for another time.
Yeah, it must have been really, really difficult. I had a similar, I'm not sure if it's COVID or not, but after COVID, my muscles start tearing with this doing silly things like pick up shopping. My pec went,
Really?
opening a camera stand. My tricep went, just snapped. So I had a lot of healing. I think it was maybe me not taking enough hydration. being dry. But yeah, I had a setback like that, and similar thing to you. Like, I'm only 40, but it seems like my body went.
Yeah.
I'm showing two fingers for those who don't watch, right? To go away and and hide somewhere under the rocks. So yeah, I've been struggling with that as well, but it bumped up my hydration. Got a couple of supplements, and it might be just having children because lack of sleep is big time.
Yeah, the
You know,
sleep thing is huge. May I ask how old are your children?
nearly 9 and nearly 7.
Oh, nice. Mine, they are nearly 9 and nearly 6. So
Oh, cool.
similar. And it must be that
Right.
we're kind of coming out at the end of the torturous level of sleep deprivation period that happens up to about like 4,
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
But
Yeah,
nobody
people,
told
people,
me. Nobody told me before.
exactly. Those people who say, "Oh, you got kids, it's gonna be all right." You don't understand. You don't understand how havoc is caused by lack of sleep.
Yeah, it just makes it just makes everyone insane and
Mm,
unreasonable, and
edgy.
yeah, very edgy. And your physical recovery goes through the tank. Um, it's almost impossible to like grow muscle, and
Mm,
very easy to get fat, even if you're not eating a huge calorie surplus.
yeah.
Um, it's a really hard time. So yeah, if you think about having kids, any listeners or viewers, prepare yourselves.
Yeah, indeed.
Prepare
Um,
yourselves or brace yourself, or have an agreement with your partner about how to manage sleep with a child who won't sleep. So
mm,
have a plan for the worst and just pretend that they won't sleep for longer than 40 minutes. How are you going to manage that? You're going to do shift work. I had to, and
yeah.
it turned out okay. We just about made it through. Um, it was hard. Hopefully it'll be easier for you.
Um, what was the staying on the subject, but changing the subject in a way? Would you say that martial arts been beneficial to your mental health?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I can really measure it. It's it's something where I always feel better after training, and I call it training because even though I'm the coach, I'm the
Hmm.
one who's responsible. My name's on the insurance, and I decide what we do. I join in so much with the training rounds, with the fitness elements, with all the sparring and everything. It feels more like training for me as well.
Hmm.
It's not a walk in the park, sit at the front, shout instructions. Because I'm not an instructor,
Hmm.
coach. It's okay. We can share that prejudice between us. We're all good.
Yeah, yeah.
um, but even if like I go away on holiday and someone else is looking after the classes for me, it, even being on holiday doesn't replace quite the same feeling that I get after training, where I don't know how to describe it, but it's almost like I've been allowed to properly express my physicality.
Mhm.
And there's I think there's some kind of societal programming inside me which tells me like you're not supposed to be violent.
Mm.
But then there's something deeper that tells me you kind of are, and you're kind of supposed to be able to be good at it, good enough at it, where you can choose and choose not to in an appropriate place, but choose to do so in an
Mm.
appropriate place. And that to me, I guess, yeah, I guess it's a weird thing to kind of talk about. And it feels like I'm admitting something like naughty or guilty because of that societal programming. Like everybody should be
Mm.
nice to each other. And it's like, well, when I try and do that and I don't train and I don't allow myself to think, yeah, this work meeting is really interesting, but if all went wrong, I could definitely kill you.
Mm.
If I suppress that thought, it feels worse. I don't know if you kind of get what I mean. So
Yeah.
the feeling I get from training is, yeah, it um allows me to feel like powerful.
Yeah.
It,
It's somebody I cannot remember where I heard it, but there's something empowering, and I say that to the ladies who training. They say that when you come into the room and you look around and say, "I can fuck you up, I can fuck you up, I can fuck you up." It's really empowering. Empowering. Plus, I think I don't know if you had it, but I had it like that. That I was really rethinking my abilities to protect children. Right? If I haven't done martial arts and I haven't keep practicing and I haven't been sparring, I don't want to be that dad who cannot run with my children on the playground. And then if something happens, I'm gonna be out of breath and I can't fight for them.
Mhm.
So you've got that kind of engine to be better, to be stronger, to be faster. Just in that case, I hope never have to use it, but just in case.
Yeah, absolutely. And having that kind of that internal, uh, more primal knowledge and feeling that in civilized human beings still exists, but we kind of repress it because of the societal expectations, then also makes me think, well, in uncivilized human beings, they just don't repress it. They still
Mm,
have it, but they don't repress it. So the threat is there, and um, the knowledge that I could at least do something, even given the pressure of someone trying to take my head off with their fists or whatever,
mm,
is it's empowering. Is a nicer way of saying it makes me feel powerful.
mm.
Like, but it does. It's important, I think.
Plus, as well, if you are competent in martial arts, you are confident in your abilities, then you've got more self-belief, self-worth, and that's make you a nicer person to other people, right? Because you don't have to kind of imitate anything and pretend you just
Mm.
yourself because you kind of feel safe with yourself, right?
Yeah, and I've got like nothing to compensate for, nothing
Mm,
to that I feel I have to cover in some other area. Like
exactly.
I don't have to shout loudly or be be like intimidating with body language,
Hmm.
because I don't have to. Like it could be, but I don't need to be. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's your choice, right?
Mm.
You're choosing when. It's like that cliche saying, right? Better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. In a war. So I suppose makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, you can still dig a border with a sword if you need to. So
Mm.
like,
Yeah,
it's kind of fine to do
exactly.
both, but I'd learn to be a warrior first.
You said that you're teaching tomorrow in southwest, southeast, southwest, isn't it, or southeast?
Yes, it's the Southwest Martial Arts and
The arts.
Wellbeing Show. It's in a place called Thornbury, just north of Bristol.
Mhm. Oh,
Uh,
cool.
it's going to
Are you
be
gonna
good.
what's gonna be teaching sticks or Muay Thai or?
I got a couple of plans, and it depends on who shows up to the mat and
Mhm.
what kind of age range they are. It'll either be probably it'll probably either be empty hands, so it'll be a blend between like traditional looking Kali, which kind of has elements similar to Wing Chun, but a little more angular and not purely like linear and straight center line.
Mhm.
Um, plus wrestling, because everyone likes wrestling, or potentially some empty hands versus knife. And again, the core of my knife defense program is wrestling, because
Mhm.
I either need to be really far away or close enough to control.
Yeah.
Uh, and so we'll see who shows up on the map. It'll either be one of those two branches. That's the
Cool.
plan.
Sounds like a plan, I'm gonna say.
Yeah, thank you very much.
What's the future's plans for your content and courses, classes? What you got in mind?
I'm not really sure. I'm filming my my technical syllabus. So it's like my technical grading syllabus, and that is taking way longer than I anticipated it. Especially as I rewrote my syllabus and only have about 10% of the material that I could have written. You know, and which is maybe about probably about 5% of the material that I've learned in the past. And I tried to really, really simplify it and make it so that there's an excellent ramping progress, and the order of learning is logical, and we have a defined outcome and milestones for measuring how you're doing against it, and so on. And we have in our club, we have two pillars of progress. One is technical knowledge and understanding, and so that's basically like an open book. It's not even really an exam to do the technical stuff. It's like, yeah, show me this, this, and this from your list. You can have your notes there. If you can't remember what the terminology is, ask me. Let's see it. Can you do it? And can you tell me how it goes with other things? Because I want people to demonstrate understanding, the ability to do all the stuff on the list, but with no pressure. So there's no, it's not inspiring very much. And then the understanding of how they fit together. So I'm trying to systemize the transference of the ability to teach. Because if a teacher is about making connections and conveying understanding, I want them to be able to convey the understanding back to me. So that's one pillar, technical understanding. And then the other pillar is fighting spirit, and that is way more based on sparring and personal progress. So we have like certificates for the technical progress, and then stripes on your favorite stick. It's like belt stripes in BJJ, basically. Stripes on your stick in different colors for your fighting spirit.
Oh, cool.
That's
very,
cool.
Very interesting. We done very similar thing with our syllabus. I chopped 90% of it. Now I'm on a 7.2 adaptation of my syllabus.
Nice.
And now we pretty much throw all the Japanese terminology, and it's all based on outcomes like yours. So, you know, for example, 10th Q white belt, you must be able to do break falls. That's it. I don't care if you stand straight, not the breaking. Then it's like basic striking, basic kicking, basic grappling, basic groundwork. Then you start mixing all together and make sense of it. And then after black belts, then we're looking in kata.
Yeah. That's, man, how do we come up with the similar like parallel structure where for me it's long range, so managing range and being able to strike and defend the minimum amount of you, because we're at long range, it means that your opponent can only reach like your hand or your leg or something like that, so there's the least stuff to worry about. Close range, because everybody crashes in after that in sparring, so you need to be able to deal with structure of somebody pushing around. The next level up from that, or the group of levels, is about controlling the range. So for someone where you have a higher skill expression than they do, you should be able to control exactly where the fight happens, whether it's long or close. And you should also be setting traps and playing tricks at long range to be able to bait your partner, your sparring partner, into doing the thing that you want to do. So it's all about control between those two. And then the fourth area, which is above black belt, that becomes some of the more traditional flow drills and mid-range. So mid-range in weapon terminology is where the tip of the weapon can reach the head or body of the other person. And if you both have a weapon, that means effectively you're vulnerable to every single strike and attack that the other person can possibly do, and so are they. So there's like the most variables and the most chaos happens at mid-range. And to learn mid-range first, you've got no context, you've got no foundations to put it on, because if you crash out of mid-range to long range and you don't yet have long range abilities, then it doesn't make any sense. Or if you get from mid-range and then you clinch and you don't yet have clinch and wrestling abilities, then that doesn't make any sense either. So that's where we learn them in that order. But those traditional looking drills that are effectively like a 2-person kata. It's like a Filipino flow drill, and where perhaps it's a fixed sequence, and then perhaps there's options to like break from the sequence and branch sideways and then get back to the fixed baseline sequence. I don't know if kata has that type of setup or not, but they are towards the very end of the learning order. So like we train them in the class, but every time we do, I explain where it is on the technical syllabus, and I'm like, this is like on level 15, so this is way towards the end of the learning order. So if it doesn't make sense to you right now, good, that just reinforces I've put it in the right place.
Yeah.
So actually, back to your question. I'm currently filming and condensing that syllabus, and man, it's taking a while.
It's gonna be worth it.
Yeah, that's the hope, and the main reason for filming it is to provide to my students, so they have a reference library, and then I'll probably also offer it on my website to my email list and see if people are interested. And maybe there will be, maybe there won't. Either way is cool. It's all good.
Cool. I think it's time you say the website now, where people can find all the stuff.
The website where you'll find all this stuff is fightdad.com, and there's some free stuff and there's some paid stuff. And if you don't even want to give me your email address, go on YouTube and find the Fight Dad YouTube channel, and it's all good.
Cool.
And if you want to train with me in person, then my club is called Kali Kickboxing Bath. Kali, Kali, Kali Kickboxing Bath.
Oh, you're in Bath. You're not that far from me then. I'm in Guildford, so.
Guildford, yeah, of course. Yeah, we should be up. All right, let's arrange that offline.
Yeah. Hey, thanks very much for the time. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I hope that we meet in person and cross hands, sticks, or whatever, and have some fun. So thank you very much for your time.
That sounds great. Thank you so much for having me.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
ABC Wednesday, Shifting Gears is back.
He has arisen.
Tim Allen and Kat Dennings return in television's #1 new comedy.
What?
With a star-studded premiere including Jenna Elfman, Nancy Travis, and...
Hey, buddy!
A big home improvement reunion.
Welcome.
Oh, boy.
That guy's a tool.
Shifting Gears, season premiere Wednesday, 8/7 Central on ABC, and stream on Hulu.